So Israel has attacked Syria, and today the reports say that there have been around 440 attacks that Israel has carried out in various parts of Syria. It is important to know that what is this all about and why is Israel getting involved in this crisis in Syria. So for that we need to understand where is Golan Heights. So Golan Heights is this area that Israel had captured in 1967 war. If you haven't read about the 1967 war, I will strongly urge you to go back and read it. It's a 6-day war that Israel won substantially using the preemptive strike method. So even before the enemies could attack, Israel attacked and got a huge amount of territory, captured a huge amount of territory, especially in Sinai towards Egypt, Golan Heights as well as the Western Bank. Now, in this light, Golan Heights, after the 1967, there was a UN Security Council resolution called the Resolution 242. Now, Resolution 242 talked about the return of certain land back to Syria, Jordan and Egypt. Later on, there was another war that took place in 1973 in which the Arab countries again waged a war against Israel, and even at this point of time, Golan Heights was one of the issues that Syria had actually come into. But Israel held on to Golan Heights, and soon there was another resolution by the UN Security Council which again reiterated that ceasefire should be maintained and there should be a return of land as per the Resolution 242. Israel did not agree to it. Israel instead said that it is going to annex this area. So what is occupation? Illegal occupation is where you go in, you have captured a land, you have made your settlements, you go and stay there. Annexation is when you move your parliament and say that the territory of the land has changed. Now a particular area that was occupied or captured becomes part of your territory. So soon after 1973 war, Israel passes a law and annexes Golan Heights officially. But this was not recognized internationally till 2019 when Donald Trump says that Golan Heights actually belongs to Israel. And US approves the annexation of Golan Heights. Now, during that speech, Donald Trump had said that Golan Heights was captured by Israel on an act of self-defense in 1967. Therefore, it is not an illegal occupation, it is a rightful occupation. Today, if you go to Golan Heights, you will see that there are multiple Israeli settlements. So what are settlements? Settlements are basically small colonies which have a wall around it. It has its own source of water. It's like a small little township there, right? It has its own security. Now, when you go to Golan Heights, there are about 50 to 75 settlements across Golan Heights, and it is completely Jewish settlements. Outside the settlements, some Syrians do live. They are the Druze, D-R-U-Z-E, Druze Arabs. They continue to live there. There are some instances of tension, but more or less it is far more peaceful than West Bank or Gaza. Now in Golan Heights, if you talk about the presence of Israel Defense Forces, it has always been there at the buffer area. So this is the buffer zone that was declared by the UN. It is right here that you will have a lot of IDF, the Northern Control Israel Defense Forces being present here. Golan Heights has a strategic advantage for Israel for two reasons. One, of course, is the height that it provides. Second is because of Sea of Galilee, which provides about 2/3 of fresh water supply through the River Jordan to Israel, because of which Golan Heights remains an important or a strategic important area. Now I hope you've understood why Golan Heights is important, but let's come to the point of why Israel is moving towards Syria today and attacking many areas here. Now, if you take a look at what the Israeli government is saying, Israeli government is saying that it is attacking Syria, certain places in Syria, because it wants to eliminate the chemical weapons that the Assad government had in Syria. It wants to eliminate any kind of weapon stockpile which could fall in the hands of the terrorist group, that's the HTS. And that is the reason why Israel is moving towards or crossing the buffer zone and attacking areas, as well as there is a ground incursion. Now, when we talk about this ground incursion, it basically means that there is a movement of vehicles happening, entering into Syria at this point of time, which again, एक होता है आप missiles से attack कर रहे हो and that is there. But on the other hand, when you have a ground incursion, you are now talking about soldiers on ground. The second thing that's happening is with this ground incursion, questions about expansion of Golan Height area has been in discussion. Is Israel expanding? At this point of time, there has been no official confirmation, but rather than expansion, let us look at it from a strategic point of view. What Israel would want to do is create an buffer, the UN buffer ko extend karke, what it would want to do is create a larger buffer zone so that any kind of rockets that is being launched can be prevented, Iron Dome can be established, properly placed, and there could be protection coming in. The second thing that Israel would want to do here by these attacks is to completely destabilize any existing Iranian proxies here, because Iran had used Damascus as a training ground for its proxies, whether it is Houthis, Hamas or Hezbollah. Now that the leadership of all these three organizations are done and dusted, Israel wants to ensure that there would be no more of Iran's training or any kind of supply route that is available in Damascus. So that is what Israel would try to ensure in this point of time by this ground incursion as well as the air attacks. Now, let's come to the other aspect of what is Iran doing. You are dismantling the Assad government, you have dismantling the Iran's playground, in other words. What is Iran doing at this point of time? Iran has openly said that it is the hands of US and Israel that is destabilizing Syria. It has gone ahead and said that this is something that Israel has been planning since the ceasefire with Hezbollah has been going on, because now Israel can divert its attention towards Syria. Question then is, what is stopping Hezbollah from attacking right now? It can always break the ceasefire and attack Israel, but Hezbollah is not doing so. Hezbollah is respecting the ceasefire, which basically means that today Iran is on the back foot and does not want to antagonize or disrupt the peace with Lebanon and Israel. Coming down to the next part is about Saudi Arabia. So much of turmoil is happening. Syria, which is an Arab country, has again seen a transition wherein the Assad family has now gone, the Assad government has fallen, and there has been no strong statement issued by MBS, that is Mohammed bin Salman. Now, there are two reasons for it. One, if you look at the the official statement that has come in, that the kingdom is in contact with all Syrian stakeholders, it is observing that the transition, it is observing that there is no violence or chaos in Syria, which basically means that at this point of time, Saudi Arabia wants to take, does not want to come into the limelight. But on the other hand, if you look at it, there have been several visits that have been taking place in Saudi Arabia, especially between Saudi Arabia and UAE, Saudi Arabia and UK, and Saudi Arabian, lot of officials have been traveling right now across, especially to Turkey. Now, Turkey has been in the limelight for some time now, especially with its criticism of the Assad government and its support to certain sections of the rebel group. In other words, one can argue that Saudi Arabia at this point of time wants to be behind the scenes rather than grappling with the limelight. But one can also see that there has been some involvement of the GCC, especially by Saudi Arabia in this movement, because without the GCC, this kind of a transition would not have taken place. So what is the ultimate result of this? Let us come to that point also. So of course there is a transition. How far can HTS establish a state, a government is yet to be seen. Will Syria be a stable government under the HTS? Will again be a something that time will only say. But Israel is going to ensure that whatever happens in Syria, it is going to ensure that there will be no more support to Hezbollah or Hamas from Iran using Syria. One other thing that is important to kind of note here is that Trump coming back to power, change in government in Syria, and a lot of things happening, especially the complete devastation of Hezbollah, Hamas and Houthis, basically means that in some time you will be hearing about the resuming of talks about IMEC, because now it will slowly come into picture and IMEC talks are going to be spearheaded by Donald Trump. With this, we'll come to an end to today's lecture. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, bye.